Mojang has already released the first snapshot for Minecraft 1.20, so in this video I'll explain everything in it and how these new Minecraft features work. So the first Minecraft 1.20 feature we're going to look at is the enhanced uses of bamboo, and by enhanced I mean that bamboo has come from an item that can only really give you sticks and scaffolding, to now most likely being the most used item in the entire game, and the reason why is that you can craft with bamboo planks. Now this takes 4 pieces of bamboo, which may seem like a lot, because bamboo is so incredibly easy to grow and also find a lot of it if you have a bamboo jungle. Really, 4 bamboo turning into 1 planks is really overpowered. But of course there aren't just planks, because this is an entire wood set. That's right, you can also craft out of this the bamboo stairs, bamboo buttons, bamboo slabs, and even awesome items like bamboo trapdoors as well as bamboo doors. This bamboo wood set is entirely complete, and just checking out the textures of all these new bamboo items that we'll have in 1.20, you can notice that not only does the sound of using the bamboo items very similar to the sound of using scaffolding, but as well as that, the bamboo trapdoor right there's texture looks to me to be very similar to the scaffolding's top, and of course the door itself also looks really cool. These new bamboo blocks are going to add a massive amount to the game, and I personally predict that in Minecraft 1.20 and onwards, it'll be the new most used wood type, as spruce used to be the most used as it was the easiest to get, but now with bamboo being just so incredibly easy to get massive amounts of, I definitely think we'll see that. But as well as just having the standard bamboo planks, there's also an awesome variant of that. However, bamboo does not work in the stone cutter, so to get this variant we have to manually craft it. First crafting slabs out of the bamboo planks, then putting them in the crafting grid like this to give us bamboo mosaic. Now bamboo mosaic is an incredibly interesting block. I guess you could say it somewhat resembles like a chiseled stone, where you have to make it in that pattern. However, it has tons of variants that a chiseled stone wouldn't have, so as well as just of course having bamboo mosaic, you can also make the bamboo mosaic slabs as well as the bamboo mosaic stairs. And the texture of the bamboo mosaic more or less looks like the normal bamboo planks texture, but just sort of in an interlocked woven pattern, which I think both of these new building blocks are going to add a lot to the game. And of course with them also having quite a unique texture for a wood type. For instance, one of my favorites is the bamboo fence, and that's because the bamboo fence texture basically looks like sort of a dried out and hollowed out piece of bamboo, which really does give a massive amount of new building opportunities. And of course with such an easy crafting recipe, this is definitely going to be an amazing new addition to Minecraft's family of different wood types. But even more unique than the bamboo wood type itself is the bamboo variant of boat, because it's not technically a boat, it's actually a raft. That's right, it's the first boat in Minecraft to not really be a boat, but actually be in a much different style. Basically, a large amount of bamboo pieces sort of strung together with straps there, and then with 2 bamboo oars on the sides. I love these sort of straps on the boat, as it literally looks like a massive amount of bamboo canes were put together in a way that actually makes a lot of sense to make this raft. It also has somewhat of a strange flat hitbox to it, because of course the surface of the boat is like that, but don't worry, it can still have you and a passenger on it, but just has a bit more visibility to it, definitely making it a very interesting boat. There is a new type of bookshelf that's coming in Minecraft 1.20. That's the Chiseled Bookshelf. An important question is, how do you craft it? This recipe is actually quite similar to that of a standard bookshelf, except for that in the middle, instead of putting 3 books, you put 3 slabs, and you can kind of assume that these would be like the shelves of the bookshelf. So it's a recipe that makes quite a bit of sense, but it does mean that you're turning 3 slabs and 6 planks into only 1 block, so it's definitely not a cheap recipe, and this makes you the Chiseled Bookshelf. Now I have no idea why it's called a Chiseled Bookshelf, sort of a strange name. So this Chiseled Bookshelf item has a lot of properties to it. It is not a simple bookshelf. You'll notice right away when we put it down it starts empty, and it has a very similar texture to the standard bookshelf when there's no books in it, so it blends in well as sort of an empty bookshelf among the other bookshelves. However, when you start to fill it up with books, it looks different, because this bookshelf works a little bit like the lectern, where it's an item that does not have sort of a UI to it like a chest. However, you can store items on it. So if we right click on here with standard books, books and quills, written books, some of which have very important messages on them that you definitely want to be aware of, and we can take that signed book and also put it inside of the bookshelf there. Finally, enchanted books work here as well. Now you'll notice the actual book textures do look a lot different to the standard books. Although I'm not sure if I like this texture compared to the other one, as they look very different, I do think it's smart to have a difference between those two bookshelf textures. Now to get books out of the bookshelf, unfortunately we cannot grab these individually, so we couldn't just grab this book here. If we right click it all on here, it'll simply take them out. So more or less we can take them out in the opposite order of which one we put in. So the last one we put in was standard, so we'll get a standard book back, just like this. This one should be enchanted, then this one is a written book, this one is a book and quill, and this one is also a standard book. The textures always look the same, it's always these 6 different colors. They'll never vary depending on if there's enchanted books or written books or what other types in there. You can sort of take a book in and out of the bookshelf like this, and it's basically an awesome way of storing books in your world, including written books, to sort of make libraries that actually function in the game. However, there's also 2 other textures to the bookshelf that were added on purpose. The first one is the top texture, which you could see you could potentially make floors out of if you wanted to. The other one is the wall texture, as this is a block that can be rotated in different directions. So if we were to, let's say, place the bookshelf this direction, and you'll notice the shelf is only on one side versus these bookshelves where it's on every side. And once we've placed down all of these fairly expensive blocks, you'll see over here, we also have this interesting texture on the back of the bookshelf that to me almost looks like a wooden or carved bookshelf, so it might be sort of interesting to use that as a design in some of your builds. What's awesome is the Chiseled Bookshelf works with comparators, meaning we can change the strength of this signal by taking books in and out. So for instance, if we start filling this up with books, the more books that are inside, the more power will come out of this. And it's definitely a fun effect for having, let's say, a secret door inside of the library, just like what they showed in the Minecraft Live. You can of course use this to have one bookshelf among all the others, where by just simply taking out one of the books, a door could open. Definitely a really cool thing to have that comparator use. There's another new, and I would say fairly revolutionary item that is being added to Minecraft 1.20. That is the hanging sign. Now standard signs are of course crafted with 6 planks, meaning that each sign is costing about 2 planks. However, with the hanging signs, they're not actually crafted with planks, they're crafted with stripped logs. Now of course, to get a stripped log, you have to right click on that log with an axe. I'm kinda happy that Mojang is adding recipes into the game that actually utilize the stripped log, because right now inside of Minecraft there really isn't anything that uses that to craft, except for of course the full stripped log bark block. You'll even notice there are new recipes, they're showing us the recipes for those hanging signs. And you need 6 of the stripped logs to make a hanging sign. The other thing you need though is chains. So you want to start by making some iron nuggets, then the chain recipe is like this, with an iron ingot that has nuggets on either side, so 1 ingot and 2 nuggets gives you 1 chain, which is definitely not a cheap recipe. And the shape of the recipe for the hanging sign is 6 of the stripped crimson stems or stripped logs of any type, and 2 chains, and this fairly intrinsic looking recipe will give us the hanging sign. Now something you notice is that this recipe does not give us 3 signs, it gives us 6. So even though this sign has been mentioned by Mojang multiple times as being a more expensive version of the standard sign, it's actually barely more expensive, only being double the price, and of course with planks and wood and logs being really very common and easy to get items inside of the game, I highly doubt that many players will be limited by this and decide not to make these hanging signs. Although currently the hanging signs are looking just a little bit glitched, as there is no recipe for the birch hanging signs, and the recipe for the acacia hanging signs uses the stripped oak logs. Also, because there is no stripped bamboo log, as there are no bamboo logs, the bamboo hanging sign is made the exact same way but only gives you 2 signs back. So because Minecraft now has 10 different wood types, as of course that new bamboo wood type has been added, there are 10 different unique types of the hanging signs. And that includes a hanging sign type of course for the bamboo, but also a hanging sign type for the nether woods. Now this is what the hanging signs look like if they're below a block, and I'm guessing this is how most people will be using them. However, you can also use them in a different way by putting them on the side of a block, although something to be aware of is that you cannot fit as much text on these hanging signs, and that certain characters will unfortunately touch each other if they're on the sign. So for instance right there, the Q's and the capital A's there, although I'm hoping that Mojang will fix this and make those be spaced out a bit differently. But anyway, that's the second way that you can use hanging signs, is sort of going out from the side of a block, which definitely looks pretty cool, and certainly like sort of a traditional sign in a city, like what you might see in an old movie from the medieval medieval times. And I love this because of course Minecraft is supposed to be a medieval game, and this really does fit well into that aesthetic. If you right click on the ground, you cannot place these signs like that. However, there is one more configuration of the hanging signs I have not yet shown, and that is hanging signs going from a singular point, not two. So you'll notice both of those chains there are connecting to the roof, or both the chains are connecting to this sort of rod that the sign is based on. However, if you put the hanging signs underneath a fence or underneath a glass pane, they'll actually have both those chains converge to make a really interesting looking sign that sort of has a triangular or upside down V-shaped support. Also, something really important to know is that the sign itself does not have any hitbox to it. However, the hanging signs can be placed in a row next to each other, something like this, more or less using this large sort of stick that's on the top of them to make a coherent looking beam that could go across an area. This is definitely an amazing thing you can do with the hanging signs, and this beam does actually have a hitbox, so you can make something like this and walk across it if you want, and you can also put hanging signs underneath hanging signs. So for instance, right here you can see when the hanging sign connects to another one, it has this texture here, and this is definitely an amazing item if you have lots of things you want to say. So for instance, maybe what number of village this is in all of Minecraft, or something else. This hanging sign will definitely be one of the new decorative favors of builders all across the game. Also, something good to know is that if you break a sign so that it's floating like this, if the sign has that horizontal bar on it, then it will not pop off. So for instance, like this, these signs are now floating, which you usually cannot do, and they can be fully stable like this, which can definitely be useful for different builds. On from decorative to a new mob that's being added in Minecraft 1.20. That mob is the camel. For now, basically you just have one of these camels that'll generate in the center of every single desert village like this. These mobs do not need to be tamed for now either. I'm not sure if either of these things will change. Unlike the donkey, they cannot move around items, but you can put a saddle on them and ride them around, as well as hold the spacebar to make them do a lunge, although they cannot jump. Although I can't show it right now, you'll notice there's a second saddle back there, and if you're in multiplayer Minecraft, you can actually have two players riding on this camel, making it, I believe, the only entity in the game that can have two players on it outside of a boat. And camels also have the interesting ability of being able to walk right over walls, as of course their legs are so long it's not an issue for them at all. And I believe this is one of the only mobs in the game of this type that can walk over fences and walls, so be sure to make your camel enclosures extra tall. Camels will sometimes sit down, but if they take any damage, they'll instantly get up. Now you can actually breed camels with cactus, so by right clicking on two different camels with the cactus, they'll enter love mode and slowly walk towards each other. But eventually once those camels reach each other, then we'll get an adorable baby camel. I definitely like the look of this baby camel, and it'll be awesome to see this new camel mob inside of Minecraft 1.20. Hopefully we'll see in the future some different generation in the desert village where there's an actual place for the camels, maybe a camel herder's house, or some sort of an enclosed area where the camels are, maybe even a place where they're connected by a lead to the center of the village. However, there's some other really important changes to Minecraft that are upcoming that are in this snapshot. So the first one is, if you play creative mode, the creative inventory has been completely changed. As you can see here, there's now new tabs for spawn eggs, crafting, consumables, which includes potions, and we also have of course the combat, tools and utilities, building, nature, functional, redstone, and the saved hotbars. Although this is a new system to learn, it should hopefully make navigating through the creative inventories a lot easier. I definitely do like the layout of this one better, but it'll take some time to learn. Still, having that really nice instant access to the spawn eggs and being able to easily get crafting ingredients for different tests can definitely make this creative inventory a much better one. I also love the section of the functional blocks, as then you can really easily see all these different items, including the new hanging signs. Also, the stronghold positions have actually been changed in a world, so of course any stronghold that's already been generated will not change position, but the math that governs where strongholds spawn has been slightly changed, and so because of that, strongholds' actual positions will be a little bit different, although they do generate in the exact same way, which is sort of these concentric circles, and can also still generate in very weird areas like this stronghold that's basically right in the middle of the coral reef. There are also some really important changes to the chat. So the first thing is that chat preview has been removed. There's also some other changes around moderators deleting messages and how long that takes, but the major thing is that the way that the chat reporting system works visually has been slightly tweaked. So before, if I would send a message that the server did not consider secure, there would be this incredibly annoying red exclamation mark icon next to basically every single message that was considered not secure. However, now that's been changed. Now its tag is just like gray, and there is no icon for it. So for instance, when summoning a mushroom, you'll notice there's that gray tag there, so I'm assuming this small tag here would be very similar when it's the not secured message, which I definitely like, as it enables players that are on servers that do not have the chat reporting enabled to have a chat experience that's not completely full with these super annoying exclamation marks. And actually for the color, this light gray will be changed, so the server messages will be dark gray with that tag, and that light gray tag will be reutilized to be for the unsecure messages. And also, if a server slightly changes the visuals of a message being sent, the game will no longer put any indicator saying that that message is not secure. There are a massive amount of new technical changes in this update, but there's one incredibly important bug that's been fixed. And by incredibly important, I mean this will instantly change the Minecraft experience for any somewhat late game player. So usually the way that Minecraft works is if a mob is put on a lead and they go up into the air, basically they'll be accumulating a massive amount of fall damage, as any distance that they fall will be counted as a massive drop. However, now that's been changed, so basically that was a bug, and what'll happen now is it'll just be counted for how much they've dropped from when they were still. So for instance, right now that mob is completely still, and if we were to go onto the ground there, you'll notice that mob took no damage. However, before, that mob would have instantly died, and this is a massive deal. The reason why is that basically, let's say you're trying to get a really rare mob variant. For instance, in this example, some mushrooms. All you'd have to do is basically get them on leads, and of course if it's done in a fairly careful manner, you could take that mob that's on an elytra and more or less move it around your world without having to make it land in the water and have an issue with that fall damage death. As before, the only way to prevent this is to have that mob land in the water and then move it around from there. Now this mob that we're carrying around should be fully safe, and so of course we still have to provide it with a good landing, but we can now land safely and securely and have that mob be on the ground completely unharmed. So if you ask me, I absolutely love this change, as that means that now if you're trying to move around mobs inside of Minecraft, the lead becomes even more useful, and if it's a mob that can be put on the lead, there's no more going around in boats, you just have to use your elytra. And another big bug that was fixed is the fact that you weren't able to drop items from container inventories quickly. Now you can, so if you look over an item and hold Q, you can drop that item super quickly out of the chest just like this, which is definitely an incredibly nice change if you're, let's say, giving out items, maybe another player on top of the chest ready to grab those items. But as well as that, of course, then you can sort of throw these all around, and it really makes it much more efficient. So I was surprised that was even in the game from the start, but now that that bug is fixed, we can actually utilize that feature, which I definitely like quite a bit. And again, even though some of these changes are quite small, there's going to be a lot more features announced at the Minecraft Now live streams, and so what it seems to be is that the features now are just some of the ones that we'll be seeing, and because of that, of course, the features being sort of jungle and desert related so far, and also generally decorative related, it wouldn't be shocking if the update would potentially be something like a desert and jungle biome update. But again, that's all speculation. If you enjoyed this Minecraft update video, feel free to press the like button. Also, all the technical changes that I mentioned should be coming in Minecraft 1.19.3, not in Minecraft 1.20, so only the new mobs and items will be there, but those bug fixes and stuff will be there very early. I'll see you in the next one, and have a great day. Goodbye!